Right, a very good morning once again to our viewers. This is iDEA newspaper, iDEA TV, and this is a newspaper review segment. I am Gabriel Matthew Seriki, and today we'll be looking at the trending papers for today, being Monday. Taking a look at the Vanguard, the Tribune, the New Telegraph, the Guardian, the Punch, and lastly, the Nations. All right, a quick start from the first newspaper for the day, which is talking about the Vanguard. Let's see what the Vanguard is leading with on the top story this morning on the front page of the Vanguard, where we have how federal government 2.3 euro pounds electricity project failed. How federal government 2.3 billion euro pound electricity project failed. I'm talking about the 2.3 euro pounds on the electricity project failed. 2.3 billion euro pound on electricity project failed. That is talking about on the front page of the Vanguard this morning. Looking at the top stories here. Then looking at page 8 on the up page of the Vanguard, where we have hope rises for PDP as Benga Hashim shuttle diplomacy yield breakthrough. Hope rises for PDP as Benga Hashim shuttle diplomacy yield breakthrough. Then see on the front page, on page 11, where we have amid terror surge in Kailama, how illegal mining business thrive in Kwara community. Amid terror surge in Kayama, how illegal mining business thrives in Kwara community. That's talking about the front page of the Vanguard this morning. Then looking at page 14, still on the Vanguard, where we have state of the nation, how North has become Nigerians' problem. State of the nation, how North has become Nigerians' problem. And I see talking about the front page on the Vanguard this morning. Then looking at the up page where we have Iran. Iran names Majtaba Khamenei's son new supreme leader. Iran names Mojtaba Khamenei's son's new supreme leader. Then looking at the down page of page 10, page 8, still on the Vanguard, where we have Peter Side condemns El-Rufai's continued detention. Peter Side condemns El-Rufai continued detention. That's coming on the page 8. Then on page 10, where we have Serap surge FG over phone tapping rules. Serap surge federal government over phone tapping rules. Then also looking at the front page on page 5, where we have 2027 polls party scramble to meet electoral act deadline. 2027 polls parties scramble to meet electoral deadline. That is coming in on page 5. Then looking at the front page, where we have how federal government 2.3 billion euro pounds electricity project failed. How federal government 2.3 billion euro electricity project failed. I mean, according to the recent Vanguard report, Nigerian 2.3 billion euro, about 3.7 trillion naira. Equivalently, electricity program, the Presidential Power Initiative, which is a PPI, Presidential Power Initiative, PPI, failed to deliver its target despite huge spending. I mean, looking at the breakdown of what the report says and what happened. I mean, we have the project goals. The project goals. We also have actual electricity output remains very low. Well, they will also have major reasons the project failed. Looking at the major reason why the project failed, we have industries experts cited several system problem. I mean, weak distribution system. I mean, that's the first we have here, weak distribution system. I mean, looking at the distribution company, which is the discourse, are considered the weakest link. Problems include huge metering gap. We have estimated billing, then electricity theft, power and also power revenue collection. Then we also have poor infrastructure. Still looking at how federal government 2.3 billion euro electricity project failed. We have poor infrastructure. Nigerian power infrastructure is outdated. I mean, talking about the weak transmission line, insufficient substation. Then we also have limited grid capacity. Then we also have gas shortage. These are the major reasons why it failed. Gas shortage. I mean, many power plants are on gas, but supply is inconsistent, reducing actual generation capacity. reducing actual generation capacity. I mean, we also have liquidity crisis in the power sector. Liquidity crisis in the power sector, where we have the power sector struggle financially because tariff don't cover costs. Discourse fail to remit payment. Then government subsidies are inconsistent. Government subsidies are inconsistent. I mean, still looking at how federal government 2.3 billion euro electricity project failed. We also have installed capacity versus reality. Then we also have government respond. All right, these are the major reasons why we're talking about the 2.3 billion euro electricity project fee. A quick look at that to get more of the details on that aspect. Still looking at the Vanguard on the front page, where we have on the up page, where we have Iran on page 41. Iran names Majtoba, Kalani's son, new supreme leader. I mean, getting reports reaching us that according to the report carried by the Vanguard News, Iran has named Majtoba Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader, succeeding his father, Ali Khamenei. I mean, what happened? Iran's top clerics body, the Assemblies of Experts, voted to appoint Mojtaba as the new leader. I mean, the announcement came shortly after the death of Ali Khamenei, who had ruled in Iran since 1989. Mojtaba was selected after what officials described as a decisive vote by the assembly. All right, still looking at the new installation of the Mojtaba. They're looking at why the position matters. Looking at why this position matters. The supreme leaders is the most powerful authority in Iran. I mean, the role controls the armed forces, the judiciary, and key political decisions and foreign policy. All right, so we're getting the reports that Mojtaba has already been elected as the new supreme leader of Iran. All right, moving on further. Still on the front page of the Vanguard, where we have 2027 polls, parties scramble to meet Electoral Act deadline. 2027 polls, parties scramble to meet Electoral Act deadline. That is talking about page 5, still on the front page of the Guardian this morning, where we have, according to the Guardian newspaper report, the Nigerian political parties began rushing to meet deadline in the Electoral Act because the risk being barred from the 2027 election if they fail to complete required processes on time. All right. I mean, here is the simple explanation of the 2027 poll parties scramble to meet electoral deadline. First, we have Electoral Act sets strict timeline. Electoral Act sets strict timeline. They will also have many parties are not fully prepared. Many parties are not fully prepared. Then thirdly, we also have only a few parties appeared ready. Then fourth, we have early election timetable increased pressure. Early election timetable increased pressure. I've been looking at the first one where we have Electoral Act set strict timetable. I mean, Nigeria Electoral Act of 2022 required political parties to complete key steps before election, concluding party primaries. Then we also have submitting candidates' name to the INEC. Then we also have resolving internal disputes. Then we also have updating party structure nationwide. I mean, if parties miss this deadline, the Independent National Electoral Commission can reject their candidates. All right, looking at the second one where we have many parties are not fully prepared. I mean, the report says that several parties are still dealing with internal problems such as a leadership crisis, funding shortage, and also weak political structure in many states. They will also have disagreement over candidate selection. Disagreement over candidate selection. They're still looking at the third one where we have only few parties appears ready. Only few parties appears ready. I mean, the report notes that some major parties are better prepared. Talking about All Progressive Congress is already strengthening its political strategy. Talking about the APC, already strengthening its political strategy. Then we also have People Democratic Party says it's preparing but still facing internal challenges. That is talking about the PDP. Then the Labour Party is racing against time to organize its structure. The Labour Party is racing against time to organize its structure. Then we also have All Progressive Grand Alliance, talking about the APA. I mean, it's focusing on early reform and digital mobilization. All right. Then we also have early election timetable, increased pressure. She's talking about the 2027 polls, parties scramble to meet Electoral Act deadline. We have early election timetable increased pressure. I mean, the election timetable releases the 2027 general election came earlier than expected, leaving many parties like time to organize primaries and candidates. All right, this is all we have on the front page. Still on the talking about the 2027 poll. Parties scramble to meet Electoral Act deadline. I mean, looking at that page, a quick look at that to get more of the details. Get the papers on Vanguard to read more, to get more of the details. Then we will have on page 8. Talking about page 8, Peterside condemns El-Rufai, continue detention. Then on page 10, we have Syrup, sue FG over phone tapping rules. All right, that is all for the front page of the Vanguard. Looking at the up page where we have on page 8 of the Vanguard, hope rises for PDP as Benga Hashim shuttle diplomacy yield breakthrough. Hope rises for PDP as Benga Hashim shuttle diplomacy yield breakthrough. All right, let's quickly move into the next paper, talking about the Tribune. Let's see what the Tribune is leading with this morning. On the front page of the Tribune, we have Electoral Act. Electoral Act, political parties differs over IPAC, talking about the IPACS, a threat to boycott 2027 election. Electoral Act, political parties differs over IPAC's threats to boycott 2027 election. That is talking about page 22 of the Tribune on the front page. Then talking about page 2, still on the front page, where we have resolution of OPL's 245 disputes, turning point for oil and gas sector by AGF AGF Fagbemi. Let me take it again. Resolution of OPL's 245 dispute turning point for oil and gas sector by AGF Fagbemi. All right, then still going on for that on page 2, still on the Tribune this morning, where we have ADC flees Akpabio for dismissing opposition to objection to Electoral Act 2026. ADC flees Akpabio for dismissing opposition's objection to Electoral Act 2026. All right, then on page 4, still on the front page of the Tribune this morning, Iran war, federal government activates diplomatic channel, consular alert to protect citizen. Iran war, federal government, which is the FG, activates diplomatic channels, consular alerts to protect citizen. That's coming on page 4 of the Tribune. Then looking down, still on the front page, where we have on page 3, still on the Tribune, editor inaugurates committees on research, training, and publication. Editors inaugurates committee on research, training, publication. All right, that's coming on page 3, still on the Vanguard. Then still on the front page, Benin City wins $1 million Global Innovation Prize in Blomery Mayor's Challenge. Benin City win $1 million Global Innovation Prize in Bloomberg Mayor's Challenge. That's coming on the front page, on page 3, still on the Tribune. Then looking at page 23, still on the Tribune, where we have hope rises for PDP as Olawepo's shuttle diplomacy yield breakthrough. Hope rises for PDP as Olawepo shuttles diplomacy yield breakthrough. That is coming on page 23, still of the Tribune. Then on page 2, still on the Tribune, where we have on health, daily soft drink, regardless of sugar content, may harms body immunity, God's head by researchers. Daily soft drink, regardless of sugar content, may harm body immunity, God's head by researchers. All right, that is coming on health, warning on warning on the daily soft drink that we consume and the sugar content that is in it. All right, a quick look on that to know how to reduce and how to maximize the sugar and to control the sugar content in whatever sugar soft drink that you take. All right, looking at page 7, still on the front page of the Tribune, where we have shockwave across construction sector as cement sells between 11,500 and 15,500 per bag. Shockwave across construction sector as cement sells between 11,500 and 15,000 per bag. All right, the developers calls for stakeholders engagement. Developers called for stakeholders engagement. That's still coming on the front page of the Tribune this morning. Then looking at page 3, still on the down page of the Tribune, where we have NLC raises alarm over alleged 20 billion hearst in TCN. NLC raises alarm over alleged 20 billion heist in TCN. That is coming on the front page of the Tribune this morning. Then a quick look at the Electoral Act. Electoral Act political parties differs over IPACs, talking about the IPAC's threats to boycott 2027 election. I mean, according to the report, Nigerian Tribune, Nigerian political parties are divided over the threat by the Internal Parties Advisory Council, which is the IPACs, to boycott the 2027 general election if certain provisions of the Electoral Act are not amended. I mean, here's the situation explained clearly. I mean, looking at the first one, what IPAC is demanding. Then why IPAC threatens to boycott. Then we also have why political parties disagree. Then we also have rules for the INEC. Rules for the INEC. Then looking at the first one, where we have what IPAC is demanding. What IPAC is demanding on this issue. I mean, the Internal Parties Advisory Council, which is the IPAC, is asking the government and the lawmakers to amend part of the Electoral Act, which it says are unfair to smaller parties. I mean, key complaints include high nomination fees and administrative costs. High nomination fees and administrative costs. We also have strict requirements for candidates. Then we also have regulation that allege favor larger parties. All right. Then we also have why IPAC threatens to boycott. Looking at why IPAC threatens to boycott, IPAC wants that if the law is not amended before the election timetable, progress members parties could boycott the 2027 polls. I mean, IPAC is coming in to say that if the law is not amended before the election timetable, I mean, progress members, parties could boycott the 2027 polls. All right. Then we also have why political parties disagree on this issue. Still talking about the political parties differs over IPAC threat to boycott 2027 election. I mean, why political parties disagree. Not all parties support the boycott idea, leading to diversion. All right, parties supported IPAC positions. Some smaller parties believe that the Electoral Act gives unfair advantage to dominant parties. Then we also have the system limits political competition. They also go on to say electoral reforms are necessary before 2027. All right, these are more and more on the front page, still on the political parties differs over IPAC's threats to boycott 2027 election. We can see on the captions, some caption under, see on the front page where we have it is desirable, says by NNPP. Then we will have other captions like it's too early, but not forceful. Not foreclosed, talking about the ADC. Then we still have other captions like our focus is how to put our house in order, coming in from Labour Party there, LP. Then we also have we are against undemocratic scheme of APC control National Assembly by the SDP. Then we also have other captions still under the front page. We will encourage them to boycott by APC, coming from APC. Then lawyers, CSOs, and are weighing. All right, that is see on the front page. So a quick look on that aspect to see more on the reasons why parties differs over IPAC threat to boycott 2027 election. All right, still looking at the front page on the front page where that's talking about ADC flees Akpabio for dismissing opposition. That is talking about page 22 of the Tribune. ADC flays Akpabio for dismissing opposition, objection, and Electoral Act of 2026. I mean, looking at, according to the report by the Nigerian Tribune, the African Democratic Congress, which is the ADC, criticized Godswill Akpabio, the Senate President, for dismissing opposition complaints about the 2026 Electoral Act. I mean, here's what the report is all about and what it explained. First, we have what Akpabio said. Then two, why ADC attacked the comments. Then we also have the biggest controversies, certificates and forgery. Then fourthly, we have ADC broader accusation. ADC brothers accusation. Then looking at the first one where we have what Akpabio actually said. While speaking at the event in Uyo, Akpabio reportedly said that he knew the Senate had made the right law because opposition parties were complaining about it. I mean, his comments suggested the criticism for opposition parties, what proved the legislature was correct. All right. Then looking at the second one, why ADC attacked the comment. The ADC said Akpabio's statement trivialize serious concern raised by opposition parties about the new Electoral Act. I mean, according to the party position, opposition parties complain not for political noise, but because they believe some provision is in the law. I mean, talking about could cripple smaller political parties, may undermine democratic standard, could demand Nigerian international reputation. That's talking about why ADC attacked the comment. All right, then on the fourth one, where we have ADC broader accusation, the party accused the ruling All Progressive Congress, which is the APC, and the National Assembly of passing amendments. Passing amendment designed to protect political interests rather than the strengthening democracy. All right, these are more on the front page, talking about the ADC flays Akpabio for dismissing opposition objection to Electoral Act 2026. All right, still looking at the front page of the Tribune, where we have a shockwave across construction sector as cement sell between 11,500 and 15,000 per bag. Talking about page 7, still on the Tribune, the down page of the Tribune. I mean, the rising production and energy costs. Talking about a report by the Nigerian Tribune says the Nigerian construction sector is experiencing shockwave because the price of 50 kg bag of cement has surged to between 11,500 and 15,000 in some markets. I mean, here is the main reason why. Here is the reasons for the increment and I mean on the offshoot of the prices, why the prices are surging. I mean, looking at the first one here, we have rising production and energy costs. Rising production and energy costs. Then secondly, we have transportation and logistic expenses. Transportation and logistic expenses. We also have dealers and middleman markup. Dealers and middleman markups. Then inflation and weak naira. We also have supply and demand pressure. Supply and demand pressure. We also have impacts on the construction sector. Impact on the construction sector. Looking at the first one, rising production and energy costs. Talking about the shockwave across construction sector, as Semi says, between 11,500 and 15,000 per bag. I mean, rising production and energy costs. Cement manufacturer says the cost of producing cement has increased due to high energy costs, which is diesel, gas, and electricity. Expensive spare parts and machinery. Expensive spare parts and machinery, inflation affecting factory operation. Inflation affecting factory operation. Then, second, we have transportation and logistic expenses. Transportation and logistic expenses, talking about fuel for truck, loading and offloading charges. I mean, road and distribution expenses. All these contributes to the uprise and upshoot of the cement that have risen to 11,500 and 15,000 per bag. Then thirdly, we have dealers and middlemen makeup, talking about the storage cost, market level, business profit. All these things contribute. Then fourthly, we have inflation and weak naira, talking about the naira depreciation and general inflation. Then imported industrial input prices in US dollar. Imported industrial input prices in US dollar. All right. Then we also have a supply and demand pressure. I mean, the construction sector still has strong demand for cement. While supply disruption or distribution challenge in some areas can push price higher. All right, all this contributes to the upshoot and the inflation in the rise of the cement that has risen to 11,500 and 15,000 per bag. All right, let's quickly move into the next paper to see what New Telegraph has for us this morning. On the front page of the New Telegraph this morning, leading story: Middle East crisis. Middle East crisis. Fuel hits 1,500 per litre in Nigeria if conflict persists, by Petron, which is Petron. Middle East crisis, fuel hits 1,500 naira per litres in Nigeria if conflict persists. I mean, looking at the conflict that has persisted and that is still continuing in Iran. I mean, the Iran conflict between Israel and Israel and US striking Iran, and that has jeopardized most of the economic sector and bringing so many upshoot and uprise and inflation in different aspects. Relating to this story, a report by the New Telegraph warns that the petrol in Nigeria could rise to about 1,500 $1,500 per liter if the Middle East crisis continues, mainly because the conflict is pushing global oil price upward. I mean, here's the key reason and why this is explained. I mean, war in the Middle East is pushing crude oil price up. War in the Middle East is pushing crude price oil up. They also have disruption of the Strait of Hormuz. Disruption of the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, we also have Nigeria imports much of its refinery oil. Nigeria imports much of its refined fuel. All right. Then we also have the fourth subsidy. The subsidy removal effect. The subsidy removal effect. Looking at the first one, a war in the Middle East. War in the Middle East is pushing crude oil price up. I mean, the crisis involving the countries like Iran, Israel, and the United States has disrupted energy markets. Looking at the oil infrastructure attack, a military strike have reduced supply. Analysis says Brent crude could climb to $120 and $150 per barrel if the conflict persists. I mean, looking at the differences, it has really upshoot to $120 and $150 per barrel if the conflict persists. You could see the differences there. Then we also have disruption of the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, a major factor is the crisis around the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important oil shipping routes. I mean, about 20% of the global oil supply passes through this strait. All right, they must have conflict. The conflict has disputed shipping and stranded tankers. Then thirdly, we have Nigerian imports much of its refined fuel. I mean, even though Nigeria produces crude oil, it still relies heavily on imported refinery petrol. I mean, talking about the Nigeria imports much of its refined oil. We are still refining our oil. All right, it has effect on that. Then looking at the fourth one, the subsidy removal effects. I mean, since Nigeria removed fuel subsidy, I mean, in 2023, fuel petrol price are now largely determined by market forces. So if the global oil prices surge, I mean, import costs will rise, then our pump price increase quickly. All right, these are more on, see on the front page, talking about the Middle East crisis that has caused the fuel to hit 1,500 per liters if Nigeria, if conflict persists. That is coming on the front page of the New Telegraph. All right, so moving on further, then on page 17, still on the New Telegraph, where we have Chinese vehicle gained ground in Nigeria as value of parts imports hit 1.6 trillion. Chinese vehicle gained ground in Nigeria as value parts imports hit 1.6 trillion. I mean, according to the report by the New Telegraph newspaper, I mean, Chinese vehicle are gaining strong market share in Nigeria as the value of imported auto parts rose to 1.6 trillion, reflecting a major shift in the country automobile market. All right, here is the key reasons why this is highlighted. I mean, low prices compared to Western brand. Lower prices compared to Western brand. Then we also have a rising cost of importing used car. Rising cost of importing used car. Then we also have easier access to spare parts. Easier access to spare parts. Then we also have aggressive dealership expansion. Aggressive dealership expansion. Then fifthly, we have demand for affordable commercial vehicle. Demand for affordable commercial vehicle. Looking at the first one, lower price compared to Western brand, relating to the story of the Chinese vehicle gained ground in Nigeria on page 17. I mean, Chinese car brand are becoming popularly mainly because they are much cheaper than European, Japanese, or American vehicle. Brands such as the Chery automobile and also the Jelly. Then also have great wall motors. Then we also have other factors like rising cost of importing used car. Rising cost of importing used car. I mean, the cost of importing Tokumbos used car has increased due to Naira depreciation. We also have higher shipping costs. Then increased import duties. Then thirdly, we have easy access to spare parts. I mean, the report says that the value of vehicle parts imported into Nigerian reached about 1.6 trillion, showing a strong demand. Chinese vehicle benefit because spare parts are cheaper, then parts are widely available. Then thirdly, maintenance costs are low. All right, these are more still on the front page on on page 17, talking about the Chinese vehicle gain ground in Nigeria. Value of parts import 1.6 trillion. 1.6 trillion now. So a quick look at that page to grab more and to read more on the New Telegraph this morning. All right, still on the New Telegraph, where we have the NLC alleged TCN officials plotting to divert 20 billion. That is talking about still on the front page on page 4. NLC college TCN official plotting to divert 20 billion. I mean, a report cited by the New Telegraph newspaper still says that the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) raises an alarm that some officials in the transmission company of Nigeria, which is talking about the TCNs, were alleged planning to divert about 20 billion naira through questionable contract. I mean, here is the labor union made for the allegation. Here is what the labor union has to come out to say on this accusation. First, we have suspicious emergency refurbishments contract. Suspicious emergency refurbishments contracts. We also have projects with unusually high cost. Project with unusually high cost. Then we also have fear of large-scale looting. Fear of large-scale looting. Then fourthly, we have concern about demands to Nigerian power system. Concern about damage to Nigerian power system. Then fifthly, we have demand for investigation. Demand for investigation. Looking at the first one, where we have a suspicious emergency refurbishment. I mean, the NLC says that some TCN officials were trying to push through several emergency refurbishment contracts, and that together could cost nearly 20 billion. Then secondly, where we have projects with unusually high costs. I mean, the labor union listed examples of projects with very high proposed spending, such as about 191 million naira to control erosion around a single transmission tower. Then two, we have around 290 million naira for fencing and drainage at a station. It says around 290 million for fencing and drainage at a substation. All right. Then thirdly, we have more than 226 million naira for work on another tower. All right. These are more and more. Still looking at the front page of the New Telegraph, talking about page 17. All right. We won't dwell much more on that. A quick grab on that newspaper to see more on the story of why the Chinese vehicle gained ground in Nigeria as value of parts imports hit 1.6 trillion naira. All right. Still talking about the front page, where we have on page. Looking at the front page, where we have the dilemma of deputy governor. That is on page 9, coming on page 9. The dilemma of deputy governors. All right. Then looking at page 2, a court judgment will be defining moments for Nigerian democracy by PDP governors. All right. Then on the down page, on page 30, still on the New Telegraph this morning, where we have cannabis. We will have cannabis compound shows promises as fires drug for fatty liver disease, says by study. Let's come in on hair tissue, talking about cannabis compound shows promise as first drug for fatty liver disease, says by study. All right, still looking at the front page, where we have on page 3 and page 7, where we have IWD, federal government target 15 million household in social production expansion, coming from Edom. All right, coming in from Edom there by Edom, and we can see the picture of the first lady there. Then also we also have on page 3 and page 5, where we have I will challenge 2026 Electoral Act in court, says by Peter Obi. I will challenge 2026 Electoral Act in court by Peter Obi. Then also we also have FG protest as 42 Nigerians beaten, arrested in Mozambique. All right, federal government protests as 42 Nigerians beatings arrested in Mozambique. Then we also have IGP replace Hedian with Placid as force spokesman. As all coming on the front page, still on the New Telegraph. Then on the up page, where we have CIT, financial institution payments rises by 135.5% to 1.34 trillion. All right, this is all coming on the front page of the New Telegraph. All right, let's quickly move into the next paper talking about the Guardian. Let's see what the Guardian is leading with. On the front page, we have shareholders may forfeit dividends as CBN penalize insider abuse. Shareholder may forfeit dividends as CBN penalize insider abuse. That's coming on page 6 of the Guardian, talking about this story where, according to the report by the Guardian Nigeria, shareholders in some Nigeria's bank may lose or forfeit dividends because the Central Bank of Nigeria is imposing strict penalties on bank involved in inside abuse and regulatory violation. I mean, here is the explanation talking about the CBN sanction against insider abuse, then divided restriction as punishment. Then we also have protection of depositors and the bank system. Protection of depositors and the bank system. Then we also have shareholders may be affected indirectly. Shareholders may be affected indirectly. Then fifthly, we have wider banking reform. Wider banking reform. So all this is a penalty for relating to the front page. Shareholder may forfeit dividends as CBN penalize insider abuse. All right, a quick look at that front page to get more of the news. All right, still going further on page on page 3 of the Guardian, where we have walk the talk on security emergency by Ndume tells Tinubu. Walk the talk on security emergency Ndume tells Tinubu. All right, that is coming on the front page of the Guardians. Then we will also have on the front page, PDP governor preach peace ahead of a court verdicts on party leadership. PDP governors preach peace ahead of a court verdict on penalty leadership. All right, talking about the front page of the Guardian. Then we also have women stakeholders coming on page 3, still on the front page. Women stakeholders, HAPS on empowerment, inclusion on International Day, on International's I think Women's Day. Women's stakeholders, HAPS on empowerment, inclusion on International Day. All right, that is still coming on the front page of the Guardian this morning. They're still looking at the front page where we have on page 4, where we have custom blames banks orders for failed 24 hours ports operation. Custom blames bank orders for failed 24 hours port operation. That is coming on the front page, still on the Guardian this morning. Then on page 4, we also have NIDO flee arrest of 42 Nigerians in Mozambique, demand release. NIDO flees arrest of 42 Nigerians in Mozambique, demand release. All right, that is still coming on the front page. Then on also the front page, on page 7, still on the Guardian, where we have 2027 poll will 2027 polls will be Nigerians against bad leadership, says Obi. 2027 polls will be Nigerians against bad leadership, says Obi. All right, relating to this story, according to the report by the Guardian, Peter Obi said in the 2027 general election will be Nigerians against bad leadership because he believes voters will be used the elections to challenge poor governance and demand change. All right, here's the reasons behind his statement. I'll be coming out to say this. I mean, first, we have Nigerians are frustrated with the poor governance. Nigerians are frustrated with the poor governance. They will also have call for citizens to mobilize politically. Call for citizens to mobilize politically. They will also have framing the election as a struggle for justice. Framing the election as a struggle for justice. Then fourthly, we have arguments about fairness and national inclusion. Arguments about fairness and national inclusion. All right, these are all coming on the front page of the Guardian, talking about the 2027 polls. We will be Nigerians against bad leadership, says by Peter Obi. They're still looking at the front page on page 30, where we have IWD NHRC crisis raises alarm over early marriage. IWD NHRC raises alarm over alleged marriage. That is coming on the front page. Then we also have SIRAP sue federal government over alleged mass phone tapping regulation. SIRAP sue federal government over alleged mass phone tapping regulation. Then still on the front page where we have petrol price may hit 1,400 liters as Dangote refineries loading stalls. Petrol prices may hit 1,400 1,400 liters as Dangote refineries loading store. That is still coming on the front page of the Guardian this morning. Then looking at the last page, which is the down page of the Guardian on page 30. Bandits attack Sokoto community as Zamfara hold emergency security meeting. Bandits attack Sokoto community as Zamfara holds emergency meeting. According to the report of the Guardian, Nigeria said bandits attacked a community in Sokoto state with unauthorized in Zamfara state. While authorities in Zamfara state convened at emergency security meeting because of the surge in violent attack across the northwest. Here is the main reasons behind the incident and the emergency report. First, we have escalating banditry attack on the northwest. Escalating banditry attack on the northwest. We also have a retaliation after clash with local vigilantes. Retaliation after clash with local vigilantes. Then thirdly, we have weak security coverage in rural community. Weak security coverage in rural communities. Then we also have Zamfara government emergency meeting. Zamfara government emergency meeting. Then fifthly, we have growing national concern about insecurity. Growing national concern about insecurity. These are all leading to the front page of the banditry attack on Sokoto community as Zamfara hold emergency security meeting. All right, let's quickly go on a short break. When we come back, we'll continue from the rest of the stories. Stay tuned. Please don't go anywhere.
Today, we celebrate the strength, brilliance, and resilience of
All right, you're welcome back. This is still the newspaper review segment on iDEA TV. All right, a quick look at the next paper we have for you this morning. All right, on the Punch, on the front page of the Punch this morning, leading with the stories this morning, it says rising fuel prices. NNPC may supply foreign crude to Dangote refinery. Rising fuel prices, NNPC may supply foreign crude to Dangote refinery. Then we also have on the up page, on page 20, on page 33, where we have debt. Debt servicing surpasses capital spending by 3.9 trillion in 2 years. Debt servicing surpasses capital spending by 3.9 trillion in 2 years. Then still looking at the front page, on page 31 of the Punch, Pope warns of regional spillover from Israel-Iran war. Pope warns of a regional spillover from Israel/Iran war. Then on page 34, still on the Punch, where we have FAAC's subcommittees gets 11.5 billion for 2026 budget planning. Subcommittee gets 11.5 billion for 2026 budget planning. Then looking at see on the front page, battle for PDP, Makinde Wiki camps brace for a court verdict today. Battle for PDP, Makinde Wiki camps brace for a court verdict today. That is happening today. Then, all right, looking at the down page where we have on page 41, still on the Punch, rising opposition attack spark concern ahead of 2027 election. Rising opposition attacks sparks concerns ahead of 2027 election. Then on page 31, still on the Punch, the down page where we have 2027, Lagos APC vows to reverse 2023 presidential laws. 2027, Lagos APC vows to reverse 2023 presidential laws. Then on page 44 of the down page of the Punch, where we have IWD, Tinubu government seeks stronger policy for women's empowerment. IWD, that is the caption. Tinubu government seeks stronger policy for women's empowerment. That is all coming on the front page of the Punch this morning. All right, let's quickly move into the last paper we have for the day, talking about the nations. Let's see what the nation is leading with. On the front page of the Nation this morning, where we have the leading story on the front page, Federal government review options as Iran war impact grows. Federal government reviews options as Iran war impact grows. Then looking at page 5, still on the nations, Electoral Act 2026 outcourts jurisdiction on parties' internal affair. Electoral Act 2026 outcourts jurisdiction on parties' internal affair. Then on page 8, still on the nation this morning, we have Zamfara PDP governors may decide for APC next week. Zamfara PDP's governor may decide for APC next week. All right, that's on the front page. Then looking at the down page on page 7, still on the nation, where we have Borno attack. Government won't allow terrorists occupy Nigerian soil, says by Shetima. Borno attack. Government won't allow terrorists occupy Nigerian soil, says by Shetima. Then on page 7, where we also have Akwa Ibom woman endorses Tinubu Akpabio Eno ahead of 2027. Then on the last page, the down page of the nations this morning, where we have real reasons El-Rufai's ministerial appointments was aborted by Fani Kayode. Real reasons El-Rufai's ministerial appointment was aborted by Fani Kayode. All right, these are more and more that we're able to bring across your way today on iDEA TV, the newspaper review segment. A quick recap of most of the papers that were brought across your way this morning. All right, looking at the first paper we brought across your way, talking about the Vanguard. All right, how federal government 2.3 million electricity project failed. How federal government 2.3 billion euro electricity project failed. Talking about the front page of the Vanguard. Then on the Tribune, we brought to you on the Tribune leading story: Electoral Act. Political parties differs over IPAC threats to boycott 2027 election. Electoral Act. Political parties differs over IPAC's threats to boycott 2027 election. Then on the New Telegraph, we brought across your way that Middle East crisis, fuel will hit 1,500 per liter in Nigeria if conflict persists by Patron. All right. Then onto the Guardian, we brought to you on the front page of the Guardian this morning. Shareholders may forfeit dividends as CBN penalizes insider abuse. Shareholder may forfeit dividends as CBN penalize insider abuse. Then on the Punch, we brought to you on the front page of the Punch this morning: rising fuel prices. NNPC may supply foreign crude to Dangote refinery. NNPC may supply foreign crude to Dangote refinery. Then looking at the last paper that we brought across your way this morning, federal government, talking about the nations. On the nation, the federal government review options as Iran war impact grows. Federal government reviews option as Iran war impact grows. These are all that we were able to bring across your way today on iDEA TV newspaper review segment. Do it to tune in tomorrow and subsequent time on this channel by 8 a.m. in the morning. I am Gabriel Matthew Seriki. Thank you for watching.